Hey, I don't know who's watching this because I just wanted to go live and this isn't planned, this isn't scheduled. I've just really had my mind altered and I'm feeling kind of vulnerable and I've had a glass of wine and I just wanted to get something off my chest really. It's crazy. I get really, really good feedback about the work I do and I work really hard and yet I just find myself earning enough to keep myself paying the bills, but not much else. And I succeed enough or get noticed enough to be spotted by my next potential client. But it's not like I have a really big following or anything. And it's always been a bit of a mystery to me why, because I get such good feedback and people are really effusive with feedback as well. Um, and I've not been able to put my finger on it. And the the real person inside, like I guess that part of me that thinks, oh, I must not be good enough, or um, yeah, maybe I'm fooling people. Like this imposter syndrome kicks in quite quickly. That maybe I'm just not good enough, and that's why I'm just like coasting. I'm just getting through. But I was having a conversation with Carl, my husband, and just moments ago, literally just like maybe 20 minutes ago, and it's totally blown my mind. We've been listening to um, some guys that talk about access consciousness quite a bit. Dr. Dain Heer and other people, Gary Douglas and Simone Molasses, and really like it's been slightly puzzling. And I think Carl and I have the same thing going on. I think we're slightly apologetic about the work we do for some reason. And one of the things that Dain Heer says is that what if the wrongness of you is actually the rightness of you? What if w- what if everything that people have said is wrong with you is actually really what is good about you, that thing that is unique about you, that thing that people really need, what the world needs? And so I wrote a list earlier of the sort of complaints I've heard over the years about who I am as a person. And of course, a lot of them come from childhood, from your parents and from your early friends and things like that. The sort of inner reputation that only your family would know about you. And I've always felt, no offense to my parents or anything, I love them dearly, but I've always felt like the black sheep. And I think it's kind of accepted that I probably am, that I was a little bit weird and, I felt things, I saw things. Um, I was clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient. What that means is, I can feel things that other people can't feel. I can hear things that other people can't hear, and I can see things, like ghosts and energy and auras, and that's, that kind of thing. And I've always been like that. Um, and yet, because not everyone feels it or recognizes it, it's made into something wrong. And it might not even be that people from my past have seen it as wrong, but they've just had a reaction, like, oh, like, why do you do that? Oh, that's a bit different. Or, like it almost sounds like a backhanded compliment. And I'm very much a people pleaser. And I've been analyzing, like, why do I people please? What's going on here? And I realized that I've been people pleasing because I feared rejection from my caregivers, which is often, what happens to people. That's why people become people pleasers, isn't it? Because we don't want to be vulnerable or cast out by the people that love us the most. So I've definitely brought some crazy shit into my present time. I'm definitely not a completely healed person. I'd love to find someone that is and challenge them a little bit. I don't think that ever happens necessarily, but I've always been aware that my confidence wanes. But today I really got to something literally just moments ago. On my list of all the things that were wrong about me that I had written, not a single one mentioned astrology as being something that I felt really wrong about. And I realized that In the last 3 years, I have been living in and around people with faith, and people who believe fundamentally that astrology is evil, and that it's a trick of dark forces, that it is something, like the practicing of it is somehow deceiving people and is meant to undermine people. And of course, that's never how I've got into it. I learned about astrology really like from a really tender age. I was about 6 or 7. And then, when I was 11, I bought a compendium about astrology. I was only ever interested in it because I wanted to understand myself, and I wanted to understand people, and I wanted to help myself, and I wanted to help people. And so it just grew from there. And I can look at people now and see their energy, and I can look at birth charts and see their energy. And so today, what really came across for me was that I've carried a shame or an embarrassment about being an astrologer. That's not going to help you build a business, is it? I mean, how ridiculous. I had no idea that I was working in the thing against myself. At some level, I've put myself out there and I've allowed myself to work for people and do well, and to help people using astrology, noticing the patterns, and then also as a psychic, tuning into the energy represented by the birth chart. But I felt really embarrassed about it. And in the last 3 years, when arguably I've done my most amount of work, I've um, I've I've still managed to bring in pretty much the same each month. Um, Come rain or shine, I can always survive, but I can't thrive. And so there's obviously something going on there. It doesn't matter how hard I work, or even if I don't work, I always bring in roughly about the same, which is good. We get a good living, and I now know why. It's because I've been doing the job that I love, and also been feeling embarrassed about saying this is what I do because of what people might think of me and the judgments. And of course, in the last few years, living in and around people of faith who fundamentally believe it to be an evil thing, and a thing of deception, and a thing of trickery, and a thing of just absolute wrongness, I have felt really tied up in knots about it. As a child, as I started to learn it and read about it and buy books, um, I was once told by a family member, one of my aunties, that I had been taken by evil and I needed to burn my books, and that if I didn't, it was because my heart was in evil, and I really struggled with that. I mean, I love my auntie. I've always loved her, and one of the things, that's the funny thing. This is why I find myself around religious people, is because I also love talking about faith. I love talking about spirituality. I love talking about how we um, like what are we, what are we doing here, what is life, what's it all about. To me, it's part of the connection, it's part of understanding the human condition. And so I have attracted lots of religious people around me who at the same time may or may not be judging me. um, so it's a bit of a eye opener today. um, my first friend, my best friend, became a born again Christian, and was given materials to show me, to tell me that I was on the wrong path. And I have to say, I'm just blown away. I think things are going to change from here on in, because you can't go about life apologizing about what comes naturally to you. You can't go about life apologizing for being who you are. Um, so yeah, I thank my husband for helping me see this, and I really thank all the beautiful people that I work with that give me beautiful feedback. Um, and I'm really grateful to Dain Heer and Access Consciousness for even getting me to consider whether the wrongness of me is actually the rightness of me. Like the thing that people judge me as, for being wrong, is actually the thing that brings lightness to the world, or brings a relief. So, I'm going to stop saying I'm an astrologer, because that I think that brings up the wrong impression. Really, what is it that I do? I help people and I use astrology, and it's just one of many tools that I use. But there's a framework there, and astrology is an amazing framework. I analyze patterns and I see these things coming, and I'm able to share that with people. So, boy, I've had my mind blown today. And I now realize that I need to let go of any shame, blame, guilt, or anger um, that I have carried about the thing I do. How about that? I'm so shocked. This has been like my hobby, life, my life interest. It's been how I earn a living. It's been a really massive part of my life, really, since I found out about it. 42 years ago, I found out about astrology, and I'm still, somebody who learns about it and follows the pattern. So thank you for anyone that's listened today. I can see I've had some people listening live. Oh, I've got a comment as well. Nubianette. Oh, bless you, Nubianette, giving me a high five. Thank you, darling. If I've learned anything from this, and this is a very sort of like candid and open confession about myself, but what I've learned today is we have to be who we are. We really have to be who we are. And if we're feeling shameful, or if we have any misgivings about what we do from the comments that other people, comments and judgments other people have had about us, that, we might be evil, or we might be this, or we might be that, we might be like all these things like manipulative, um, like causing greater harm and things like that. That's not what I'm about. That's not what I align to. But even considering it when people put it my way, when I know that in my heart I'm absolutely pure in what I tune into, you know, um, all I can say is you have to be your own unique, crazy, messed up, fucked up self. Just be yourself. Don't feel the shame of it. Just feel the joy of being who you are. So anyway, isn't that funny that I say that, what I do is about finding freedom and clarity and living your best life. And here's me for all these years just being so like tight in judgment about what I do. So anyway, I'm going to get a lot looser and a lot freer now. But thank you. I feel a bit better now. I'm going to go have a glass of wine and consider this new reality. I don't have to be apologetic about what I do. Wow, definitely feeling different. Lots of love to you. Bye for now.